Hi and welcome to yet another tutorial. So this is something that I have never done before, and that is filming from this angle. Pretty cool. So now you're gonna see my board gaming area. That's like half the closet. The other closet has like 3 tiers of board games. But I digress. And B, I've never done a full complete editing breakdown. Now with that said, please leave me your feedback down in the comments below, or else I'm not gonna know what to fix and what you want to see. Whatever you want to see in my editing breakdown, if there's something I don't cover or if something is unclear, please let me know down in the comments below, or else I'm never gonna know what to fix. And especially since this is the very first run through of it, who knows how it's gonna be, and I don't know if this is something that you want to see continued, but I at least wanted to show you my entire process from start to finish. And with that, let's get into Adobe Premiere. Okay, so I have my song picked out already. So this song is called One Last Breath by Ecolix. It's from Artlist. And I also have all of my clips here. So this one took me about 3 to 4 days to film. I like to scroll through the timeline to make sure it's super smooth before I even get started. So see how a lot of this is lagging already. I want to make sure I just keep scrolling so the computer gets enough time to render out all those thumbnail images. So I kind of scroll back and forth. And then I also go to the project panel. Right before I recorded this, actually, I right clicked this and then I went to Proxy and then create Proxies. So what that does for Premiere is it makes your clips in like low res, but it allows you to edit way faster. And the reason I'm doing that now, even though my computer can handle full resolution, is because I ran out of space for my computer. So long story short. So I'm gonna drop this by -10 decibels because you want your music to fluctuate around 12 decibels over here. Okay, so my opening shot is going to be this clip right here. I'm gonna press I on my keyboard to get that start of that clip. And then right about here, before it gets too jittery, right about there for O, drag this onto here. Let's see how that looks. So there's this riser right here, and I want it to kind of speed up and just stop and slow down right about here. So I'm always trying to match the music. So in this case, as it rises up, it's going to speed up, and then as it slows down, it's going to slow down as well. And then let's make this a little bigger so we can see. Right click this, go to time remapping speed, and I'm going to speed it up from the very start. So I'm going to hold control, left click. That lets me put 1 timestamp there, or 1 marker for speed at least. And then I want it to slow down right about there, so when the title is almost centered. And then I'm going to drag this up to right about that peak of where the sound is. So that's the thing with editing videos, a lot of it, majority of it is trial and error. So you're just kind of trying out different clips to see what works and what doesn't. For the last one, it was way too jittery and way too shaky, so that's why it just didn't look clean at all. So I don't like the feel of that one, but this one looks a lot better. So I listened to the song a million times already, but I always like to go back and figure out how much time I have before it gets into the, I guess, the chorus, or like the biggest part, the climax, I guess, of the song. So here it goes to about 12 seconds and then it just amps up. So now I'm gonna keep that in mind, which means I have around 10 to 12 seconds to play around with for the next set of clips, to just be slow paced and to just introduce what's going on. Oh, another thing too, I need to make sure that my sequence settings is 3840 by 2160. Okay, very good. If you don't check your image settings, then you have to go back and change individual clips one by one, because then you're gonna have a black bar on top and bottom. So always check your sequence settings before you even start. So that's why when I film, I always look for lines. That way it gives me more flexibility, like I always mention, like here in post. So that's why it makes life much easier, because now you have points that you can mask in perfectly. So again, turn all of these on. Feather to, I usually go around like 70 depending on which mask I'm making, but most of the time it's going to be 70. And then inverted. And again, we're going to line it up frame by frame. Oh my god, this tool is so annoying though, honestly. Okay. There. Next. Might look a little better. Oh yeah, actually yeah, green looks better. Okay, we'll stick with green now. And again, we'll make this bigger. So effect control, scale to 107. And there's a beat here, goes boom. So for that, I'm going to go ahead and punch in. Maybe to about 120. Actually 150. And then go forward a couple frames, 1, 2, 3, and then back to 107. So it kind of just goes in and out. There. So it looks like a drum beat. So the key to prism transitions is, even though you're using prism and just wiping it across the camera, you want to make sure you get a lot of different types of movements. You want to move the prism close to the camera and away from the camera. Fast speed and slow speed. That way you have a lot of flexibility in post. You're pretty much setting yourself up for success if you're doing more and more movements in camera before you bring it all into your computer. I'm matching it perfectly. So right now it looks very, very seamless. So you can barely tell. So right now we can tell right away because we're looking frame by frame when the transition starts and stops. But if you're looking at it at normal speed, you can't even tell. So if I play it back, right, it's barely noticeable. And I'm also going to time it so that way it also transitions along with the beat. So the beat is here. If you look at this peak, I'll put a marker so you can see. So that green marker here is where that next beat hits. So now I actually want this to be here. And I'm going to drag this clip out. Boom. Okay. So I always like to go back in my footage and just watch it over and over again, especially from the start. That way you kind of understand the pacing and you are kind of grounding yourself in terms of how fast and how slow your video is. Right now I think it's a little bit fast. Perfect. Okay, so that's some good timing. It has now been 4 hours since I started editing, and with the reshoot, I'm not happy with what I got. So with that, I think I have a different idea in mind, and this is typically how my process goes. I go through the edit, and I find a part where I feel like I need another clip, hence the reshoot, and then I go back, and usually I will work with that clip, but since I'm not happy with anything that I got, I'm just gonna go with what I have. I do have an idea from where to go from here. My idea that I have for this is, here I have a kind of spinning turntable clip. And if I can somehow mask this out so I can manipulate out these standees and just put them in like a screen by themselves without any of this background, then I think it's gonna work out pretty cool. Hi, so 2 days have passed since the last video clip. And what I've done in those 2 days is I finished masking all of them. So I finished all 6 heroes. It's not perfect, but it is done. So the masks that I've done for those are good. They're not amazing, but they will do for now since I do have to move on to some other client videos as well. And then as I was doing them, I had this idea about, okay, what if these heroes kind of showed up as if they were like a Super Smash Brothers new character reveal hero. So I learned how to do this paintbrush effect. That was kind of like an animated text, but the problem with that is that even though I figured how to do it, I didn't figure out how to make it as a preset, so I could just change the color like real quickly and then change the text and the font, whatever, as a drag and drop. So I would have to go back and do them one by one individually. So instead, I opted out for just I figured out that story blocks ended up having a template for that. So I'm just gonna go with that and move forward with the video. So today, let's begin day 4 of the edit. I don't even know if this is gonna work out to how I'm envisioning it, but we're gonna see and experiment because that is what editing and filming is all about, right? Okay, so now I have all 6 of these on the timeline. Put a marker here so we know exactly where to mark it to, and then we'll go to the front again and do the same thing for the mage. So now I'm gonna lock position, scale, put it at 50, and we'll move the mage over to the left corner. Oops. Go to the marker. So there's like a fan back to back. So now I'm gonna move it a little bit further. That way they're not going in all at the same time. And the mage is now gonna go over here. Next up is the rogue. Position and scale. Move it a little bit further. And the rogue is now going to go 50. And over here to the bottom left. Maybe a little bit off centered. So I don't know why, but I feel like a shattered glass effect at this very moment looks pretty cool. It matches with that beat. Okay, so now I want one character to just pop into the foreground, going from small to big. And that character we're gonna start out with is, let's see, let's do the warrior first. And we're gonna make him tiny. And just pop in right there. And let's throw on the paint effect. Okay, so now we are moving on to the ranger. So here I got another brush to put right on top. So similar to how the warrior started out too, but just a little different because now instead of just a plain black background, now we have the background being footage that I shot. So that's the only thing working with games like this. Nothing wrong with the game itself, it's just that when games have a lot of repetitive components, it's hard to make it diverse and to give it some variety. So I'm going from the standee to the mat to the card. All have the same artwork though, but it feels like it's kind of like the same shot because it's the exact same character, right? But it's okay. I mean, ultimately it is focusing on the archer or the ranger class, right? So okay, and then I'm also going to make a mask starting right here. So the reason why I'm starting a mask here is because now you can see an outline of the next line. So actually right about here, and I'm going to make a mask right above this line here, so it makes a nice little transition. So I'm going to go ahead and click over here, click on the pen tool, and start the mask. So it looks like right about okay, so what I did was I did motion top for this one, but then I also keyframed in position. That way it looks like it is moving. Sorry, my camera died right when I was color grading, but I am going to release a tutorial soon about how to color grade from step 1 to 100 anyway, and that'll be in full detail about how to color and stylize your footage. But that was the end from start to finish about how I edit a cinematic showcase. It's pretty much a gist of my entire process from step 0 to step 1000 apparently, across an entire week of editing nonstop. So sorry this was such a disorganized video, but like I said, we're gonna go ahead and chunk it down and organize it better moving forward. But I won't really know unless you tell me what you'd like to see more of, what you'd like to see less of, what you'd like me to focus on next time for the next video. And with that, thank you all so much for watching if you are still here by the end, and I will see you all in the next video.